Bonjour et bienvenue sur Outrospection, le podcast qui te sort de ta tête et qui t'ouvre aux autres. Hi and welcome to the 13th episode of the podcast Outrospection. I am very excited because today is my first episode only in English. As you may know, most of my content is usually in French. But I recently met a few people who were supporting me and supporting the podcast, and they were asking me, why don't you do content in English? And I've always been concerned and self-conscious about doing it because I thought, you're not a native English speaker, you will make mistakes, your accent is not perfect, but they just told me to let it go and to go ahead with it no matter what. So that's what I'm doing right now. And I wanted my content to be more inclusive, so I really hope you will like it. So for those who don't know me, my name is Anissa and I'll be your host today. Due to the recent events, I decided to shuffle a little bit my podcast program because I wanted to have with you an open discussion about the coronavirus situation. And I'm not going to talk about the virus in itself because I'm obviously not a specialist and I don't think I'm educated enough to do it. But as a positive person, I tend to think that even with the worst situation, there's always room to learn, to grow, to progress. So I'd like to share with you the 4 things I think coronavirus can teach us. Obviously, this is my personal opinion, but I really hope this perspective will help us see things differently. So I'd like to start off with this first lesson, which is to be mindful. And what do I mean by being mindful? Well, we can all learn how to be mindful by A, respecting the health measures given by the authorities. And I know, guys, it's annoying and very complicated for all of us, but we just have to remember this is an exceptional situation. The entire world is impacted by this crisis, and it's no longer just about us. Even though some of us are young, healthy, in good shape, we cannot take any risk. We have to remember that some people out there are more vulnerable, elderly, people with disease, cancers, HIV. And I think we all have a role to play in this game. We can all be the heroes by staying at home safe. B, having in mind that when it comes to buying groceries, please let's not the panic take the best of us. Again, I know it's scary, and for all of us, it's the first time we have to go through such a drastic context. But I implore us, people, we all want to protect ourselves, protect our families, but let's not be greedy. Let's think of the others. A lot of people cannot drive to the supermarket. Some people have to go to work. So we just have to put ourselves in their shoes for once and to realize that maybe at some point we will be in their position and we cannot take everything. So let's be considerate and mindful so we can all buy supplies. Then, second lesson coronavirus can teach us is to find new ways of caring and communicating. Of course, being stuck at home implies reinventing the way we communicate to others. But it's not such a bad thing. Starting with our neighbors. I don't know my neighbors so much, but with this whole situation, it's actually giving me a chance to reach out to the people in my building and ask around if anyone needs anything. You never know. Maybe these people are struggling, and today we're on the same boat. And even if for most they are strangers, nothing stops me from being nice to them. B, at work. I know we're not all so lucky. Some of us cannot work from home, some of us cannot work at all because they've been told to stop their activity, which is tragic for a lot of businesses. But for a lot of companies that can keep going, that's quite new. And believe it or not, they really have to find and learn which tool they can use to keep working and communicate. And I really hope they will learn from it and learn from this situation for the future. In my case, I've always worked for smaller companies, so I'm used to use Slack, whereby Skype, WhatsApp, Google Drive, So we are kind of more prepared to it, but still we have to adjust to the situation. But I also wanted to say, in those difficult times, no matter the size of your company, I would advise all of us to reach out to our managers and even CEOs and ask them what can be done, how we can contribute, if us or our team can help in any ways. Because again, this is an exceptional situation. And by asking those questions, it's actually a proof of involvement. And that's very, very important. And for the survival of many businesses, it's even vital. And finally, let's not forget our families and loved ones. As we know, we have to stay away from each other and avoid social contacts in general. But this doesn't mean we should stop contacting and calling them. I mean, think about the ill people in your family who are already isolated. Let's not isolate them even more. Then, third lesson coronavirus can teach us is to be grateful. And I know we hear a lot about gratitude, but this cannot be more true than today. We took so many things for granted. And I would just want to remind ourselves that we should thank the people who are out there helping us. I mean, I'm thinking of all the doctors, nurses, medical staff in general, the people who just put themselves at risk to save us and to make us feel safe. That's amazing. I mean, our health system is not perfect, but we have to realize that in some countries, people who are suffering have less and less chance to survive and to make it through this crisis. So it's again something we have to be grateful for. Then I'd like to remind ourselves that being able to stay at home safe with a lot of comfort is a real chance. And again, I'm trying to put perspective here, but most of us have like TV, internet, everything, all the comfort and technologies to keep going and to keep living, which is not the case everywhere in the world. So that's something we have to remind ourselves every single day, to be grateful for that, because these are the really good conditions. And thirdly, let's be grateful for being in good health. We tend to forget that being in good health is such a chance. Being able to wake up every morning, to breathe, to laugh, to have this peace of mind, it's amazing. And that's something we should never ever take for granted. Finally, and I'll be very quick with this one, I think the fourth and final lesson we can learn out of coronavirus is to be reflective. I know it can sound scary to have to be stuck with yourself, but I actually think it's the perfect occasion to ask yourself the right questions about your life, about your choices. And being reflective is a way of progressing and a way of growing. And I think we could all use this time to do something useful. Read, meditate, write, learn a new skill. I mean, at the end of the day, time is the only resource we cannot have back. So we really have to use it wisely. I believe, and maybe you disagree, but those who can make good use of the current situation will grow like crazy after the crisis. And I think it all comes down to the bottom line, which is it's not what's happening to us that matters, it's how we react to it. And I believe if we use our time wisely, if we stay aware, if we stay curious, if we are resourceful, we will be able to make a huge positive impact in the future. So I hope you enjoyed the content of this episode. If you would like to keep discussing it, please add me on Instagram or LinkedIn. I'll be more than happy to. I would also like to thank you all for listening. I'll meet you in the next episode. Meanwhile, please stay home, stay safe, and take care of yourself. Bye!